Hello, this is Mr. Benson. In this video, we're going to learn about properties of metals, nonmetals, and metalloids, and where they're located on the periodic table. So first of all, here's a color-coded chart showing the metals over here in the light blue, the nonmetals over here on the right side in red, and the metalloids in the middle in purple. Here's another slide of the same thing with just different colors. So you have that to look at. So metals we know are located on the left side of the stair-step line on your periodic table. If you look at your periodic table, you see this dark line going diagonally through the table. And metals are everything on the left side except for hydrogen, which is a nonmetal. And except for these elements that are touching the line, with the exception again of aluminum, which is a metal. So metals are on the left side. Metals are usually shiny, like this shiny bell here. They're malleable, which means they can be hammered into thin sheets, like gold is very malleable. Metals have a high density, so they feel heavy when you pick them up. They're good conductors of heat and electricity, like this copper wire. That's why wires are made of metal. And they're usually solids at room temperature, except for mercury, which is a liquid at room temperature. Nonmetals are located on the right side of that stair-step line. Looking at your periodic table, here are the nonmetals down here on the right side. And again, except for the ones that are touching the line, which we'll talk about in a second, and notice hydrogen is a nonmetal, and then all the ones over here in this top right corner are the nonmetals. Nonmetals usually have a dull appearance, like this piece of sulfur. They're poor conductors of heat and electricity, so they're not very good for wires. And they have a low density, and they tend to be brittle, so if you hit them with a hammer, they just shatter into pieces. Now, in between, we have things that behave like metals and nonmetals called metalloids, and they're right along that stair-steppy line, except for aluminum. So here are the metalloids, touching the line on both sides, except for aluminum, which is a metal. So these in here are all metalloids. All right, so I want you to make this little chart somewhere on a piece of paper, and then pause the video while you use your periodic table to practice filling in this chart, and then we'll come back together. All right, so here are the ones that are on your periodic table. So we had silicon first, and silicon is in the third row of the table. So it's in the third period. It's in family 4A, so it has 4 valence electrons. Calcium is right here. It's in the fourth row of the table, the fourth period, and it's in family 2A, so it has 2 valence electrons, and it's a metal. Silicon was a metalloid. Fluorine over here on the right side is a nonmetal. It's in the second row or period of the table, and it's in family 7A, so it has 7 valence electrons. So your chart should look like that. Double check your answers and see if you have any questions. We learned about properties of metals, nonmetals, and metalloids, and where they're located on the period.